there children playing in the road? God damn.
We're back with another Versus Fights episode in the Versus series, and in today's corners we have the Accelerator once again, the reigning champion, versus a very threatening MVP, the Gatling. The first challenge is which one of these towers is much cheaper to place down. The Accelerator currently costs 4,250 bucks to place down. The Gatling, on the other hand, is quite a little bit of a stretch of a 5,000 in order to place down. Accelerator gets a point for this round. The second round we have is the bigger range. Which one of these guys has the bigger range? Whoever has the biggest gets another point. The Accelerator has 20 feet of, range, or at least attack radius. I don't know how you guys call it. However, the Gatling one is, I guess, a bit of a weird one because he has a, ability that has infinite range. However, if we're considering the regular AI taking over the tower, it has a total of 50 feet, but no matter what, it literally completely outmatches the Accelerator because in the first person activated mode, it is literally infinite. The range is practically infinite, so it doesn't matter at all because the Gatling still gets a point in the end. The next challenge we have is the fastest rate of fire. Accelerator has a 0.108, I guess, rate of fire speed. The Gatling, on the other hand, has a very fast 0.098 rate of fire speed. Since Gatling is faster, he gets a point here. The next challenge is who has the most damage, and we're not talking about per second, even though that is going to be a very soon challenge, but this is the most damage per shot. The Accelerator currently does 45 hit points per shot at max, and the Gatling, on the other hand, does an astronomical 100 damage per shot at max. Since he does the most damage, he gets a point here. The next challenge, very conveniently, is who does the most damage per second. The Accelerator currently does a 284.81 rate of fire speed with, of course, the amount of damage per second, and that's just one Accelerator. By an insane stretch, the Gatling does 925.93 damage per second, which is an insane amount at max. Since he does an astronomical amount of damage, he gets a point here for the Gatling. The next challenge we have is who has the most detections. The Accelerator currently has a hidden detection and lead detection. The Gatling, on the other hand, has both hidden detection and flying detection. Since they both technically have the exact same number of detections, none of them gets a point here. The next challenge is who has the most cheapest upgrades in total, all the way from the very first upgrade to the very last upgrade. The Accelerator's all upgrades combined together is a total of 54,900 bucks without DJ or any other discounts. The Gatling, on the other hand, with the amount of buffs and powerhouse this thing has an insane immense amount of $228,750 without any discounts to any upgrades, which is an insane amount. Since the Accelerator is way cheaper, he gets a point here. The next challenge is, do any of these guys have any abilities or passive abilities? As an example, the Crook Boss can spawn minions over time, or Ice Towers can slow down. Those are passive abilities. However, actual abilities are, for an example, Gladiator can use an ability to swing faster, and Commander has that Call of Arms ability, so far so forth. The Gatling is the only one from these two, or at least from the other one, that actually has an ability, and this is something we haven't seen on the channel so far, which has a first-person shooter FOV mode, which is pretty cool and very fun. I'm pretty sure everyone would agree. Since he has an ability, he automatically gains a point here, no matter what ability it is. The next challenge we have is, what are the requirements to unlock these towers? The easier one gains another point. And out of all of these guys, I do have to think that the Accelerator is just a little bit more easier to actually get than the Sentry Turret, or at least the Gatling gun thing. Because the Accelerator, first off, has a very cheap game pass if you just want to get him, or you could just grind for a few hours and in hardcore, and boom, you can basically afford to get the Accelerator quite easily. However, the turret, or at least the Gatling, is very time consuming to do, since it demands the player gets to level 175 in order to unlock, and it takes a tremendous amount of time and effort into the game. So I believe the Accelerator is a lot more easier in that point, and in this case he gains another point. The next challenge we have is how many of these towers can you place down in a single match. Accelerator currently has 8 of accelerators that you can actually place down in a single game all together or all spread around. However, the Gatling can only be placed once, which makes sense because if there was a huge amount of them, or at least like 2 or 3 of them, this would have been insanely more powerful. But I can see why, but since the Accelerator can be placed down much more than the Gatling, the Accelerator gains another point here. The next challenge is how many loadouts are they specifically viable with? How many loadouts can you pretty much put any of these towers in that will actually make it a very good loadout? And in my opinion, I feel like every single loadout they can actually work very well, especially if they are like the most expensive and the most DPS powerhouse towers in your entire loadouts. So really, you just have to have some starter towers to help out, and then finally just have an accelerator or turret to pretty much carry the rest of your loadouts. So in my opinion, they both are viable with any loadout, and because it's a tie, no one gains a point here. The next challenge we have is which one has the most skins, and do I really have to actually go over anything? The final challenge we have is which one has the oldest release date, and I feel like I also don't even have to put any info on here because I mean, like, come on. But just in case, for those people who want to know, the Accelerator was released on the 28th of August 2020, and the Gatling was released literally last month on the 18th of September 2024. So yeah, it is a very big stretch and he has no chance of winning this challenge. But the votes are all in, the entire points are all just being counted up, and the winner for this challenge or video is, unbelievably, the Accelerator. However, statistically, as in mathematically and factually, the Accelerator wins as well. Now, don't get me wrong, the Gatling is a very, very, very powerful tower in this entire game. Probably even is the most powerful. However, you do have to consider the fact of, the amount of accelerators that can be placed down. Just because this guy is very powerful, that doesn't mean that he is not the most powerful dude in the entire game. And the Accelerator still to this day is the most powerful tower in the entire game, and it's mainly because of just how many you can actually place down. You can basically predict that they will do an insane amount of damage altogether, all maxed, and basically hitting the targets at the exact same time. That's why I believe the Accelerator is still much better than the turret, even though the Gatling is very, very close to literally overthrowing him. But in my opinion, I don't think the Accelerator will ever be dethroned, well, until the level 200 tower comes into the game.